I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 9 o'clock. Paul,
So what are you guys thinking about the Bama Fork gravel pit, I guess, to start with?
the Middle Fork. I think we should go for it. I mean,
I mean, obviously, we're not gonna do anything this year, but I think we should, my suggestion is we put a tentative plan together for next July.
do we have to do anything this year or are they?
No, we had to spray, but we did that. But they want a plan or they're gonna want us to close it, you know.
So is it our pit?
It is, the county took it over sometime years and years ago after the state opened it, did some work out there, I don't know what they were doing. But so it's our pit now, and when we, by taking it over, you took the responsibility of reclaiming it too. So we either crush something in there next year or we'll be reclaiming it next year.
Well, if we have to reclaim it, we didn't do anything. We might as well do something so we can reclaim what
That's
we did.
what I thought. But I think we'll just put a tentative plan to crush next year. We're not gonna crush this year. You know. So. What do you guys think?
So, okay, our pit, our gravel, we have to crush it. You'd have to lease a crusher or
No, just hire. it.
hire a crusher.
So can we do that in the winter?
Well, it depends on, you know, if you fight it so much, it costs so much more. You get it because it's sticky. Obviously, we'd have to put it out, you know, bid it, like we did last time.
What do you mean?
Put it in the paper that we're looking for somebody to come and crush 10,000 yards or whatever.
Is that what we kind of talked about earlier this year?
So we're not in a panic by any means. When I talk to the guy, I'll just tell him that we have a tentative plan and that will get us through next year. If you guys are good with that.
So how much would that cost?
Well, it just depends on how much a yard, but if we did 10,000 yards,
On calculator?
but
There you go.
we can't.
So it's gonna, that's what it's.
Yeah,
gonna-
Since it's
But
going out to
it'll be out to
bid,
bid, you can't have it, you know, I don't wanna say out on the internet or whatever you wanna call that.
This is called Zoom.
So,
interweb.
That's my rough idea.
so
I gotta join you.
could we use Barca for that?
I believe so. We need to look into it.
Just about covered.
For this year, the thought was the chip sealing, right? Use the bar seal. Oh, that's what. It's up to you guys.
Yeah,
Right? I say put it in the plan.
You say what?
Put it in the plan to do the,
To crush it during the winter or
no, that'd be next year.
next year? Just a second here. Okay. So get my duckies in a row. We own this. gravel pit.
well, no. State,
The state owns
state
it,
owns it. We have
Yeah,
it.
permit.
but we have what, permit?
Permit.
Okay, and so we haven't done anything with it. And now we
We
need
never
to.
done anything with it at all, but I know. It
Okay,
was just, it was took over from the state.
so it's gravel left over from the state.
And
Well, there's nothing there now, it's just rock.
It's just raw.
Yeah.
Oh.
It needs to be crushed.
It has to be crushed.
And we could use it on the middle fork for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, it might,
Want to put it off until, do we have to make a
Well,
decision today or?
No, it'll be a next year deal anyway. We just need to tell the states that if you're tentatively thinking about doing something or else they want to get involved.
So I think we need to tell the state we're tentatively thinking about doing something. Is that what you
exactly.
said?
Either that or we have to close it and we
Okay.
haven't done anything there, but we'd have to close it anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I
So,
agree with you.
okay, we got that taken care of.
Philip, how long is his hair?
Sure. Hey,
So I'm here.
state your name for everybody.
Philip McDonald, on down the record, it's starting with gravel. Kind of Look at the numbers here. I can't get a chance to hit on the gravel, selling gravel. And would like to know what the protocols are for procuring gravel for the county. And how come I can't get on any of the procurements? I can't. I'm pretty startled.
No, didn't we bid it out last year?
2019 it was, but
They bid on it 19. Even though it did.
Yeah, but all this other stuff is. You see how much.
What's that?
Tommy Mazza got $322,000 worth of gravel.
A lot of that, the majority of that was that Forest Service work and the Forest Service paid for that.
Yes, but the Forest Service, when I went to Cameron, said that you guys were in charge of who procured it from.
Their main guy, Wade, is the one that decided where to get the material from.
I asked him, and I said, well, hey, I got gravel.
But I don't know, I'm sure you probably talked to Wade too.
I never got an opportunity to bid on it. I went to Cameron and Wade. I worked for Wade out there. I said, Jesus, can I get a shot at this? I haven't had a shot at, I sold $200 last. See the numbers there.
Well, I guess what we need to do is just so that doesn't happen. My thought would be just every spring, just bid 1,000 yards. And ahead of time, you know, then everybody gets a chance
So
to
what,
bid on it.
what do you normally use in a year? Gravel? How much do you need?
Just a lot of it depends on the spring and the washouts that you never know about.
I mean, just if you can take the last 5 years.
1,500 yards average,
So,
unless we're doing.
and there hasn't been any bids, because I read the minutes and it said, well, it's under 80,000, you don't have to bid it, you don't have to bid it. And I noticed that on, on July 20th, and we bought how much from Benson?
1,000 yards.
1,000 yards. And that was at your suggestion because he was
Yeah.
closer.
Well, we put 1,000 yards of Benson's gravel down on that road last June. Rolled it. We never put a blade on it. We've still never put a blade on it. And that's why I wanted to use that same material on that rock patch at Henderson Creek. Just laid down and held up. Good.
Okay, well, I can see your point, Phil. I can,
Look at the
because, yeah, the
numbers.
figures don't lie. And it looks like Weaver Construction actually gets the most.
So
Who's
are
348
you
gravel?
partners with Weaver?
No.
do you have any ownership in the pit down there?
And I own the shop and stuff.
So you're part owner?
I don't know, I own the shop.
Isn't that a conflict of interest?
To own the shop, no, if he has ownership of gravel.
Do you have ownership in the gravel?
No. And this, like this big deal in 18. That was all road chips. And the other gravel, it gets bid out down there. I mean, they're
I
not
haven't
gonna
seen any
haul
bids.
gravel from here.
But you haul it from down there up here.
No, we don't.
It's hauled some loads up to the Rumsey Road.
That was all millings.
No, there's spray limestone from the quarry filled in the Caligar.
Oh, we brought that up because we brought the backhoe up from the haul shop. We had that
There's
gravel sitting
gravel
in the
out
haul shop.
on the Ross's Fork from there.
No,
That's great gravel. I don't know where else it came from.
I don't know, but we don't. Why would we haul there? if
They
we-
hauled gravel from Georgetown down to the Rumsey Road. I'm right across the road. So this looks like discrimination to me. Why can't I get even a shot at it?
I agree with it, that doing a bid every year would be advisable. It's correct on the 80,000, it goes out to public bids. My understanding was it's gonna be rotated around, but
It's
Yeah.
not.
so that putting out for bid yearly is good.
Why isn't it rotated around?
Would you have different grades of gravel in your
I
pit?
got all different grades. I mean, all the state highway specs, 701 through 7.5. It's all my gravel's on your subdivision up there at Lost Sapphire.
I don't know if I should say it.
Why not?
Because you're not gonna like
What's that?
it. Because you're not gonna like it.
Well, it means all the specs and.
And you also plow it off during the winter, because it doesn't set up.
I don't know that.
Well, I know
All the stuff on Rock Creek we hauled, Chuck, was the stuff that went to the ranch at Rock Creek from the ranch up, with my gravel, it's still there. The stuff at Porter's Corner is still there that you guys haul. I don't see any gravel off the road.
No, I don't see any there either.
Well, I know we got a whole bunch, to Rock Creek. Within the next 2 weeks, you know. That's all it is, and put it down.
So what is the protocol for bidding?
Well, we bid it before and we just didn't do it this year. I remember bidding last year on gravel,
2019.
or 2019.
2019, and then there was one that the year before, you could see the zeros. I never had a chance to bid anything.
Well, I think the way to do it is just, like I said, just bid it every single spring.
Is that all the gravel, or do you just pull in and start hauling gravel? I don't quite understand.
Okay, so this is what's been happening, and this is according to the minutes, so it's in black and white and highlighted in yellow. You haven't been bidding. You've been just selling it, and you've been purchasing it. And like I said, with Benson, that was your suggestion, Benson, and I don't know, it just doesn't look right. And like there was in the minutes where on July 6, 2019, we were decided that he didn't want to be in the gravel business anymore. And then, so there was a bid put out after that, and he won that bid because it was quite a bit lower than anybody else. So what I'm saying is it, you're right, Phil, I don't think it's been fair. I think the process has to be, we need to order the gravel what we need for that fiscal year. And Paul, you say in the spring, that means do your research, what you've been using for the prior years, and order enough to last a year and put it out for bid. And that means put it out for bid where we know who our gravel people are? Why can't we just send something to them saying, okay, we're going out for bid?
And that's generally how it works with, you get on a, you know, with counties, we've done it in Madison County, that you qualify as a bidder first. That's a simple qualification, you know, pit.
But we need
insurance.
a grade of gravel. We need to be able to, if you go out to your pit and look at it and say, okay, yeah, that pile, you can bid on. But maybe there's another pile on somebody else's pit that we don't want that gravel. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't have the fines in it. It doesn't have.
Have you drove up the Middle Fork Road?
Hmm?
Drive up the Middle Fork Road and look at that. That's the gravel from Tommy's.
Well, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying we should have the ability to say, okay, that pile, yeah, that's fine, that's whatever. If it's in your pit, that's fine.
How it works with the state, and the state buys probably more gravel than anybody. You get a gradation test from a licensed geotech engineer. And it gives a gradation of what is acceptable for the state. It's a pretty simple test to do. I do Chris Holman, consulting engineers, and have forever, because I sell gravel to the state and stuff, and it's real simple. But all them.
But are
what
they
the
using
gravel-
that for gravel roads? They might be using that for a base where it doesn't make any difference whether you have the fines or whatever.
It's just whatever the engineer spec calls for.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
One thing that the statute talks about lowest responsible bidder. If the county goes and looks at it and says that's not good enough quality, then the county can say that's not a responsible bid. So I think it does go along with what the engineer is saying, but the county above and beyond that can look at it and say, so if people are bidding stuff that shouldn't be, then the county can say.
Here's my problem with just bidding it out. That anybody, now I'm not talking about you, but any pit here, they can say, oh yeah, they can bid it. And we might not want it, you know? And so then we'd have to take it.
Well, like Blaine said, it didn't happen to meet what you wanted or something, you wouldn't have to take it, but I think,
Well, if we can do that, that's
you
fine.
know, anything here is gonna meet the spec.
What do you mean, anything here?
Well, all these bits that are across here, they all are, I would say, I'm sure they'll all meet it to your state spec. You know, and like Philip said, getting a paper for that is pretty simple.
You just take a bucket of gravel down. There's numerous geotech engineers that test it. It's a requirement. They do it with the DNRC on stuff up at East Fork Dam.
Well, you can pretty much do it yourself too.
No, you can't. You have to have a stamp on the. You have
Well,
to
to
have
get
a
the stamp, yeah, you can't. do
You
the
can't
stamp.
do
But
that.
You can
unless you're a
tell
geotech.
by common sense, well, there's got fines in there.
You've got to have the screens, and down to a 200 screen or something, it's extremely hard with the eye to see. That's why, and that's make the big bucks.
What do you call it, stamp graded, or what's the grade on it?
It is, it's called a gradation test. So that's what we do. I would like the opportunity to bid. I haven't had the opportunity. I had 2019, it's the last one, but you can see the zeros.
I think Paul has made a good point. I think that we haven't been putting the bid out. I think that we need to.
Yeah, do it early.
And set policy to, instead of willy-nilly, okay, we're gonna get from Benson, we'll grab some from Weaver, or we'll do 348 gravel. Who's 348 gravel?
Yes.
Patriot.
No, I like the idea, like you said, bid it out and mail them all a bid back.
Yes,
That's
Yes.
the thing in the criteria, but there's no bidding criteria that most counties use. And how they historically did it in Granite County was when Richard Skaggs was the road superintendent. They would put it out for bid. It always went out for bid. I bid it numerous times, and you would crush a pile for it. You'd just give the county a pile, and then they the surveyor would come out and measure it, they can measure the piles. And then you're not, I hear this thing about scales, and we deal in volume. And scales, what you end up doing is buying water. And if the water's if there's a real wet spring like last year, so you might buy 15% of that gravel is water. And that's the problem with doing it like that. And then, of course, the truck's got to go in and weigh every time. How they did it before, they just bought a gravel and went, or a pile of gravel, say they wanted 5,000 yards of gravel. You just crush them 5,000, they come out and measure it. The surveyor, licensed surveyor would come out and measure it. And then the county was just free to go whenever they want. It was a great system that worked for ever since I've been, in the early 90s when I started.
And that makes good sense to me.
That was a real fair, equitable way to do it. It worked.
Well, and I remember Hans going out and measuring gravel pits when I was in the clerk and recorder's office.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it happened forever.
And to me, volume sounds better than
weight.
weight.
And then this, some gravel's heavier than others. It just depends on the geology of the pit. But it's all pretty close. And also,
We're not doing weight, are we?
We buy by the yard, but more when you're out at this big, you buy by the ton, He's the only one that has scales. But if you buy it by the yard, like he's talking about, then you move it. Move it all at once, get a survey, and you're done with it.
and you're done.
that
And
way
then
it's
you're not, the trucks aren't your county guys that go in, they're not load, they just load the trucks to go. They don't have to stop and wait and stuff. And you don't have to worry about billing, all that
I'm all for
stuff.
that idea.
Yeah.
It's how it was done for ever since I started in the early 90s.
So Paul, you're agreeing with that's something I think we knew.
Yeah, nail all on the bid packet.
And
The only thing what I'm saying is the packet, and you read the packet, and it going through the minutes, and several instances you get gravel and it's been noted that it's under 80,000, so you don't have to bid it several times in the minutes. So you haven't bid for quite a while. In 2019, you bid out and Weaver was the low bidder. And like I said, he said he was going out of business. Is he out of business or is he still in
Just
business?
about.
Okay, so I think, Phil, you did make a good, we do need to do this. We need to set
Yeah, but
precedent and
I do remember there's been times that we bought gravel down there because we're putting it down there.
yeah, and that makes sense. The trucking makes sense, because that's just about as much as the gravel. The trucking gets very expensive.
But you still want to keep it as local,
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Absolutely.
want to see that. I keep my money in the county, and that's what I like to do, and I like to see that. I just want the opportunity, but I haven't
Absolutely.
been able to get that opportunity, and that's
Absolutely.
why I'm here.
Well, I want to find a way that we can test it after the bid. Because I don't want to put gravel down on a road that's gonna get bladed off,
But it's the same gravel, Chuck.
whatever.
It's the
I just
same
want to
gravel.
know, I don't care whether it's your pit or any other pit.
Well, that's a
If
simple
this
deal.
gets bidded, I want us to be able to go out there and look at that pile and say, no, we're not gonna take that, or yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, could you put in the.
Because you
bid
can tell.
notice? Could you put in the bid notice that you inspected before?
so it's inspected. If it's inspected by the state, you still want to go.
I'm
look
saying
at
there
it?
are different grades, but there must be different grades. I'm not an expert on it. I do know.
That's what the geotechnical engineers do.
But what
That's
I'm
the
trying to point
gradation
out
does.
is if the state says that's okay for them, it's their grade, but they're probably using it for a base course or a base or whatever, and then pave it. Because there's not very many gravel state roads that I've seen. So that's what I'm saying. It might not be the quality that we want to put on top of the road.
Like on your road, the red mud that gets on your trucks, the other stuff breaks down fairly quickly. It depends on the geology of the pit, and the pit is what it is. The geology stays the same. It doesn't, forever. And it doesn't matter if after you buy it or before, that geology and that sieve analysis is just the same, whether before or after or during, it's always the same. It doesn't change, you know. Some pits vary within the pit. You'll hit a big clay spot or something. I've seen that happen a lot in pits in my last 30 some years. And
Okay, Chuck, so you're saying you don't want it to be base, stuff that goes on the base. So wouldn't the engineers say this is good for top gravel?
If they would say that, yeah.
Wouldn't we, could we ask them?
you can ask them, yeah, whatever. You can ask them whatever.
What do you
It
think,
just,
Paul?
it just thinks you need a sieve analysis and, but a real good thing is just to drive up the road, drive up the Middle Fork Road right now. It's bad. It's got all that. It's not my pit. It's bad.
Where'd that come from?
Oh, shit, a lot of it came from Mazza.
Where?
A lot of it came from Tommy Mazza and a lot of it came from, Barneson's.
With gravel, there's a term they use in plasticity that they use in gravel. And that's your really fine, and if it's, and that's I think what Chuck's talking about. There's plasticity. It's not good to have a lot of plasticity in some gravels. It just depends on the application, what you're using in your gravel. It all hits different. The geology is what it is. I think for the county's sake and as taxpayers, it is, you know, you want to get out and get the best price possible. And I think that it should be spread around a little, and it's not even close. Not even close.
Well, I'm all for bidding it, as long as we can
Okay.
check it and we,
Okay.
you know, so we're not getting stuck with.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we should do it once a year, like you say, in the spring, and get enough, like if you needed 5,000 yards to carry you through, then bid that out or whatever. I don't,
And that's how it worked, and it worked
and
great.
then that gravel's there for you, it stays in that
It
pile, and then you
stays,
go
it's
pick it
just
whenever
a
you need
county
it.
Pile or whoever. I've got clients that buy, they'll come in and I'll crush them 5,000 yards. Guy that bought Mungus's, the guy that Kelly Clarkson place up there, they just buy a set volume.
No
And
money for that.
they had, what they did, is they had a certain amount of money and then I had to calculate out the yardage and give them whatever yardage they could get for $20,000 or whatever it was, whatever the number was.
So does that make sense to you that
Oh,
gravel can
absolutely.
be wet and heavier if
Well,
it's sold by the ton?
Oh, yeah. Big
Oh,
time.
So we're paying more money then? Is that correct? Or,
You do, I mean, that's just, if it's, like he says, if it's a wet spring, it's a wet spring, and that's.
But it's a huge factor on our project in Madison County. We hauled 400,000 tons of tailings that ran about 15% moisture. And so we seen, and then they would pay us on the dry tons. That's how the Golden Sunlight figured it on dry tons. It was literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of trucking alone that all we trucked was water. We never got paid for it. That's when I really started to understand what moisture content in gravel is. And when you sell it, I said, Jesus, I gotta get me a scale. I can sell water.
Yeah.
And that's why volume, and a road a mile long, 20 feet wide, 6 inches deep, that's really easy to figure that volume out. Figuring that out in tons, because that variance in the moisture in gravel is really hard in tons. You're gonna, you would have to be taking moisture content that fits the volume with that lifetime.
Build it up or bid it out in volume.
Get it out in
In
volume.
volume and measure a pile. And now,
Yeah, we always do.
with the technology, I just found out a guy, he has a drone. They can fly a drone and take a 3D. And there's companies now that do that, which is just awesome because they're really super accurate.
For surveying me,
Yeah, they use drones to measure the piles. They set up a station, and put it all in the computer and come up with a volume of whatever.
I've been doing doing that for a while.
Yeah, it's a good setup.
Any public comment? No.
All right, thank you for your time. Hope to-
So do
I
we have
hope
to make a
get-
motion
I
on
hope to
this?
get a packet and an opportunity to bid.
I don't think we have to make
Or
a
it's,
motion.
it's probably in our, the bidding process is in our standards, but we just haven't been doing it because it's been under 80,000.
There is a procurement policy and that talks about how there can be, three bids can be done informally, if it's under 80,000, that can be waived. But going back, to doing it every year is.
Yeah.
There's only, is there 3 pits in the county?
Yep.
There's only 3 that are DEQ approved pits. So it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not, unless somebody wants to, but opening up a pit is really expensive.
Not
Really
you're not gonna
expensive.
open another bid.
It is, they've changed the rules with DEQ to open a new pit it's expensive. And it's expensive to run a pit too, to operate a pit as well. You've got the reclamation, and all the stuff that goes along with that too.
So would we have to, would it be a good suggestion on the county's part? You'd put it out in the paper for bids, right? And if we know who is interested, we'd send them. We know how
I
many
just think you
pits.
send every one of them a bid pack.
Because you
Yeah.
guys, anybody, and if somebody wanted to, but it takes a long time. You gotta do water quality studies and all this stuff now at that DEQ in 2012, I believe, they changed all the application thing. And it's onerous. It's really difficult. I know some other pits, not in Granite County, and they are in a fight of their lives with just to stay open with DEQ, because DEQ is just horrible to work with. They've got some real fundamental problems there.
No, we can make a motion to buy gravel for him for Rockford.
Yeah.
How much are you gonna need?
We'll use 1,000 yards.
Are we
And a
doing-
good
putting
test,
another-
Chuck, a good test. Lay it down and see how it holds up.
I agree.
And the more traffic mine gets, the better it seems to perform.
So I'll make a motion to buy 1,000 yards to put on Rockford from Bill.
Okay,
Right.
I'll second it. And then in the future, we want to make sure we just buy it yearly by bid.
Yeah,
So the other thing, Blanche, is in the interest of time, procuring a crusher is not always that, so the sooner that the gravel pit owners know, in wintertime, it's down, there's nothing going on, but it's a good time, I know the county's busy plowing snow and whatnot, that
I was
it's-
gonna say, put the bid out like in May.
so it's bid in May or even April, because to get them guys hired now,
Mhm.
you gotta do it early.
Yeah.
Even in February or something, it's good, because then you have that lead time, if you want to do it. Sometimes we're busy doing other stuff that don't have time to do that, or you can't get a crusher in, or whatever. There's a lot of things, but the earlier you know that, because it's go time in May, it's really difficult to.
Well, we've got to have it out early enough anyway, because when shit starts washing out, we need to have the stuff on
Yeah,
hand,
May,
ready
and
to
that's
go.
what April,
Yeah,
April, or something like
Yeah.
that is.
Okay, we have some comment from Betty. Go ahead, Betty.
Hi, this has been a very interesting conversation, and I know, I understand your motion and what you're trying to do here, but I think if there's only 3 pits that are in the county that are DEQ approved, you should make sure to get bids from all 3. They should all be aware of it. And just like Phil said, timing is of the essence. When things aren't planned out ahead and you don't know what the needs are going to be you don't know what to screen for. And so I think it's really important that you have all three, at least, that are DEQ approved, have the ability to bid on.
Well, for the remainder of this year, I think we'll just go with this, this motion, and we've already bought some from Benson, and who else?
Bought some from.
Yeah.
from,
You got some from Weaver. Got
And
1,000
some from Weaver, so let's just go with that, and next year we're gonna start bidding.
Well, and I guess my question is, what about Tom Mazza and the Munis pit? They're not on your list?
The bid packet to everybody.
They are on if you purchase from them. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
$38,447 for this year.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Betty, I have these numbers here. And I'll get
Yeah.
you. I'll-
I
I'll-
guess my concern, I mean, I can look at this from my own perspective, but I have the bigger perspective from the county part is that it just the policies being placed and you follow them. I mean, I think that will just be the right way to go about it. And competition's good. It's good for everybody and it's better for the county. What irks a lot of folks is when they see trucks coming from a long distance away, when there's a gravel pit around the corner. If it meets your qualifications, like Phil said, it's just as important the travel costs as it is everything else. So there's got to be some metrics that you can follow to reach all those goals, and it'll be better for the county in the long run. People feel like it's a fair process, and I think that would be good. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thanks. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Gotta run. Thanks for the time.
We'll be bringing it over, I'll go. This works easier, get done. You're my guy.
One quick thing that I'm thinking about, we know this big growth is going on in county, and there's some stuff, and maybe in the next month or so, I want to talk about it, because that's going to be really expensive. This growth that's happening around, as we all well know, it's part of the gravel fire, and we've been thinking about that a lot, what's going on, and the sprawl that's starting to go around, how expensive that is for county. Fire, gravel, emergency services, all them things are a big issue. And we're going there really fast. This is probably the most change I've seen in Granite County since I've been here. And we've been here a long, long time. This thing and it gets out of control and it's really expensive. A quick example, Gallatin County, what's going on there? For every tax dollar that comes in with a remote, all this stuff, this sprawl, it's costing Gallatin County $1.38 in tax dollars with all this sprawl. We've got 5 or 6 new fire halls, serving all this outlying, and it's a huge issue. And it's going to be more so in the future because we see what's going on here right now. No affordable housing, all these things that are happening here right before our very eyes. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed, and we should start the conversation with this sooner than later, because once you're behind that thing, it's a huge thing, and you guys deal with it all the time. But we want to think about that and get input on that.
Okay,
How we're gonna
thanks.
work.
We gotta move on.
What's that?
We gotta move on.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about the Barces Fuel Tax Fund, and we need a resolution to get that.
So, drafted resolution talking about that those funds will go towards the chip sealing project, but it's up to the commission's decision. Need to be, this is just a draft proposed, need to have 2 readings on it next 2 weeks. But if you have want something different there, it's commissioner's decision.
Okay, well, we need to do it, so. It'll be on for next week and we can vote on it.
So is that the resolution,
Draft one.
the draft of the resolution?
It gives talks about the 8 miles of the chip sealing and then the total cost of that.
Okay.
Do you have a copy?
I'm not sure how much.
So this
ARSA money
isn't,
you actually have.
Yeah, I think I gave them all. a copy with it.
or do I have one?
Yeah, our share is 64,000.
60, oh, so that total project is
More
well
than
over that, but you can use all those.
Okay, so you can't make the decision on it now. It has to be put on the agenda.
Need 2 readings, yeah.
Oh,
per
2
you
readings.
guys'
So this is the first reading, so. I
Oh,
move-
this is just
We don't do anything.
We don't
We're
do
just talking.
anything? Okay,
this isn't the first reading, this is just the.
the first reading. Okay, first reading. I'm okay with the first reading.
Okay, anything else on there?
I just want a quick run over the roads that we're gonna chip seal. So that everybody's on the same page, just take a quick second. We're gonna do, the half mile from Highway 1 down to the rodeo grounds. Just to the bridge. And then we're gonna do Verlanic Road, which is a couple of miles, Burt Weaver Road. Above, on a hall there. The dump road in Hebert, one that off of Highway 1 and both directions. East Fork is a mile, Georgetown Lake is a mile, where we laid the mailing, just that second piece. And, we were talking about doing West Mullen Road, but there's about a third of the traffic on that compared to, I'd like to do the one behind Granite Portland that wraps all the way around behind the school and to our shop. And go out that way, and use that extra mile and a half on this Beaver stuff that we laid.
Airport.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do the airport, I don't know if we'll have enough. You know, but,
Obviously, the town's good with that, I'm sure.
oh yeah, well. There's so much truck traffic on that road, you know, and it's really busy. I'd like to get that. So it's held, you know, maybe do that piece. And I'm pretty damn close on my mileage, and that's gonna be about all we'll get. So. Unless you guys have a different idea.
Sounds fine to me.
Next year we'll just have to, we can't do them all, we'd like to do them all, but. We'll worry about that next year. So,
I just got an email from on the snowplow.
Yeah,
They're asking if BMO wants to know if we're financing the full amount or if we want to wire the down payment and finance the 70,000.
we want to mail. Overnight mail or whatever it takes, 35,000 to the trucking company that we bought it from. And then make our 2 payments, and I told them we want our payments on August 10th. So that puts us into the next fiscal year. Not in July like they always wanted to. Sarah wanted to at least get into the August.
It's only 2 more payments, divided up into 2 more payments.
Yeah.
Um,
That's,
so that's next year, then the next year after that.
yeah,
August 10th, 2020.
yeah. And they don't, Sarah doesn't want to wire them any money, and I don't blame her. Just send them a check. You know, they'll have it. If you send it, they'll have it in a day.
And who sent this email?
The finance guy
Oh.
or the sales guy. From the company place.
Need a motion or?
So you've already
You
approved
already-
all that
yeah.
last week. Once we actually get the finance documents, and that'll be on the agenda, so probably another agenda item next week to execute the documents. But I think right now, that's what you guys already agreed to, the down payment.
Yeah, that was our agreement. So,
I guess, the motion could be clarified that it's the down payment and 2-year payment, 2 years of payment, 2022 and 2023. That could be clarified, but
and then what do you want to do about getting it? I can take a guy and go pick it up, or they'll deliver it to us for $2,000.
How much does it cost you to go pick it up?
Well, it's whatever, 900 miles, so a motel and gas,
Gas and room and board for 2 people,
yeah,
meals,
not near that much.
yeah.
It's your call.
So they're gonna bring it up here, then we gotta take it someplace to get the equipment on it, or?
Yeah, but that's only Conrad, so that's not a big deal.
So can you take it to Conrad from, you bring it here and then take it to Conrad?
Yeah.
I'd almost say have them ship it here.
What's that?
I'd almost say to have them ship it here. And you wouldn't have to take your time to go.
That's fine with me.
So I'll make a motion to have it shipped here for $2,000.
I second it,
Just saves a big pain in the
Yeah.
ass.
yeah. Good. Long trip,
Yeah,
Any public,
1,800 miles,
any
round.
public comment?
And that check would need to be 37,000 or?
that's a whole different entity.
Okay, different.
Yeah. And I got a bid on for it, it was like 1980 or something like that. So,
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 I think we're done.
please be excused.
You may be excused.
All right.
Good discussion, Paul.
All right, thanks. See you later.
Have a good one.
You know, one more thing, when we haul that gravel, we're gonna have to have trucks again. We just can't haul it with 2 trucks. We'll never get it done. Then you tie your blade up for,
How much, how long?
you know, well, not very long, but you know how it is. It's a long ways out there and you just can't do it by yourself, so.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to-
All right, So-
When will that be?
I don't know. Next week. Maybe
We're
the
gonna
week
hire the
after.
same trucks in, or
Oh, yeah,
same
just call
same
them all.
order?
Just call them all again, and make sure who can do what, you know?
Okay, now what are we doing?
Hauling my gravel from McDonald's pit to Middle Fork. We're
Gotta
gonna
have trucks.
we're gonna have to have some belly dumps.
So you've got trucks that.
Yeah, we've got our list,
Yeah,
just start from the top, call them all and get it done.
Okay, keep us informed.
okay,
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get it next week or not. I wanna get down to the Middle Fork and stuff first, and then when we're grading down there, then do it. You know.
Sam
I'm getting
gets
out
on-
here.
Okay, it's the time for Cameron. Update on
Yeah.
goat. Mountain Fire, you on there?
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So mostly good news right now. We're still sitting at 212 acres. It is 0% contained. 2 days ago, we didn't get any rain on the fire, even though we were expecting to. There was still some isolated tree torching. Most of the burning was just internally. We did get a significant amount of rain yesterday. So that kind of put the hurt on the fire. As you guys know, though, it takes a lot of rain or snowfall to actually put some of these out if you're not going direct. So it'll probably slow the dragon down a little bit, but it might come back to life here in another week or so. We are continuing on with the shaded fuel break up the Little Gold Road. We have a heavy equipment task force working up there where we're kind of thinning out that road system a little bit. So if we needed to burn off as a contingency plan, we could. And then we took our trail crew and a 14-member handline crew, and we went direct on a lot of the fire. So especially on the west and part of the southern line. So that helped a lot. Of super steep country. It's really rocky. It's kind of hard to build line in, but they were able to kind of hot trail it a little bit there and take some more heat out of it. So between the good work they did and the work that Mother Nature did for us yesterday, the fire's looking pretty good. Let's see here. We still have the temporary closure in place. There are quite a few people going up there just to look around. They want to see what's happening on the Little Gold Road. We're trying to keep them out as best possible.
We lost him.
His bandwidth is low.
Just froze up.
He just left.
It had a message that his bandwidth was low. He's probably rattling on again.
It's,
Oh, there he is.
There you are. You're back. Can't hear you. You're muted. There.
When did I leave you?
Like 2 minutes ago.
Something about little
Keeping
gold,
people out.
keeping people off little gold.
Oh, so you guys heard most of it. Yeah. That's about all I have. And then the last part I just said is we're taking it over with the district. The team is demobbing. Today's their last work day, so they'll be leaving tomorrow. And we've been trying to get a replacement team to come in, and there's literally nobody still available. So we're gonna do the best we can. We're going from 80 people back to probably 10. And we'll just do the best we can with what we have and keep ordering until we get more resources coming in.
Okay, sounds good.
We have a public
I do
comment.
have one question. I know you guys dismissed Paul already, but there's that second bridge up above Princeton. And in order to get this wood out, we're gonna have to haul over that bridge. With the equipment right now, we're just driving around it, but eventually we're gonna have to haul over it. And we're having a hard time getting a weight limit on that bridge. So if anybody could help run that down, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. That's
So
it.
how much you gonna have to haul?
To be honest, I don't think very much. We might just continue this a little bit further and then we'll probably just stop it for now and see what the fire does. But it's not going to be a big volume amount.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Okay, there's public comment from somebody. Go ahead. Well, Elena first.
Thanks. I think Jen was waiting first. Jen Robinson. Okay, she said it's okay. Yeah, Cameron, morning. I have just a couple of questions. On that goat fire, I see they have a nice website up and also Facebook page. And after the fact, I noticed that they had a community meeting this past Saturday. Were any of you there? And I didn't see it publicized anywhere. They didn't have a very good showing.
There was 30 some people there, but yeah, it was on their Facebook page and in InciWeb. So all their messaging had it, that there was going to be a public meeting.
Okay, because
And there were a few from the district present there, yeah.
okay, to me, it was after the fact. I would have attended had I known about it. One other question, a general question. I saw some pictures of the fire up at Flathead Lake, and they showed aircraft scooping up the water from the lake. What water facilities would they do that here in Granite County? From what water facility, if necessary?
Well, it depends where the fire is and how accessible the water is. You know, a lot of these lakes up in the Flint Mountains, you can't use a scooper because it's just too steep. You know, they're cirque basins from glaciation and airplanes can't get down into them. We could use a helicopter to use buckets and pull water out of those lakes to dump on the fire. But even that gets challenging on hot days. the water weighs so much, and on a hot day, it's hard for the helicopter to lift out of there with a full bucket of water. So elevation plays a role, accessibility plays a role depending on what kind of aircraft you're using. Like Georgetown would be an easy one to use an airplane and a scooper to get water out of, but it takes a pretty big runway to do that.
That's what I was wondering, if it would be Georgetown Lake would have been used, Georgetown Reservoir. Thanks, Cameron. Have a good one. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay, Jen, you have a comment?
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cameron, I just have a couple questions for you. So my cabin is up Princeton Road, and I was talking to the incident command this weekend when we were at the meeting on Saturday evening. And right now they said we can go to the cabin, but my concern is that should we be going to the cabin and staying there at this time? And should we just stay away from it at this time?
If you're in Princeton Gulch itself, you're not even within the closure area.
I am in the
So-
closure area. I am the last cabin up the mountain.
So you
I'm-
must not be on the Princeton Road then.
I'm on Princeton Road. I go and I have to pass the barrier at the campground, and then I've got to go up like, I don't know, what is it, 5 miles? And it winds off to Ben Acres, or I keep going up Princeton Road past Two Ponds, and my cabin's right past Two Ponds.
Okay, so that's Boulder Creek Road. You're staying in the bottom,
No,
following Boulder Creek.
I'm on Princeton Road.
So
I'm
we're
not
having
on
a
Boulder.
communication problem with what road you're on. Do you know what number that is? I mean, do you go up Little Gold Creek? Is that the way you
No.
go?
No, I don't go up Little Road Creek. I go down the other dirt road, up Princeton Road.
Okay,
It goes to,
that's the,
go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go.
No, go ahead.
Is that the road that goes all the
No,
way to
you
Powell
go.
Mine eventually?
Mm-mm.
Could you guys
Well,
talk
we're-
about on the phone or something?
Yeah, that's best.
All right, Cameron.
Thanks, Chuck.
Can you,
Okay. Okay, thanks.
What's your number? What's your number, ma'am?
She's been muted.
I asked her to unmute.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
559-0040.
Thank you. I'll give you a call in a bit.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Let's see. Now's the time for potential fire restrictions. I don't want to change.
Mr. Adler called me, said he tried to call in today this morning, but he said he was for stage 2 restrictions still. He just didn't think we were getting enough sufficient moisture.
Well, he wasn't even here yesterday.
Yeah,
Where is he?
He's in Flathead.
things are looking a lot better because there's rain in the forecast for Thursday and Friday.
And then first of next week is supposed to be 60s and 70s here.
So we got rain yesterday.
And
And
the
rain the
day-
day
day
before, a
before,
good rain the day before.
I didn't, but I got a 1/10 of an inch each day, but
On Sunday then.
but I was over on the north end and it rained like crazy where I was at yesterday.
So why do you think we don't need to be in stage 2?
Kind of wet.
Hmm?
It's kind of wet. I mean,
See, I,
if it was really hot weather like we're having, I'd say, yeah, probably go to stage 2. I just can't see it.
Based upon rain we've had and rain in the forecast. is the
Right, and
reason.
cooler weather.
okay, I'll go with you one more week.
Maybe you could take public comment, but
Yeah, is any public comment? I'm staying at stage 1. Don't see any.
Do we have to make a motion?
no. I would take the no comment as they agree with you.
Yeah.
People were upset with that.
Yeah,
I would think so too.
okay, we're off until 10:10. Okay, we're back on. Time for Georgetown Lake outflow review and decision, and we're still at 30 CFS. Fish and Wildlife did not want to increase it. So, Brad, you have any comments?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Eileen Rice talk, who's our fish division administrator, and yeah, let her kind of explain what's going on.
Okay, thanks. Eileen?
Commissioners, thanks for allowing us to participate today. Like Brad mentioned, I'm the Fisheries Division Administrator out of headquarters in Helena. The director's office had asked me to attend today to let you know the perspective from the state and Fish, Wildlife and Parks. So as you're aware, the Fish and Wildlife Service has made the comment of no consent for the temporary modification. The state respects the decision of our partner, the Fish and Wildlife Service. So at this time, we had looked at the request. We were working with DNRC on trying to model what the lake levels would be like. But on receiving that decision from the Fish and Wildlife Service, as I mentioned, the state respects that decision, and it's our understanding that for the change to happen, you need consensus. So that's our position right now.
Okay, thanks. Is there any other public comment? Elena?
Thank you. This is Elena Gagliano. The consent, you mentioned consent. At what point do you agree to change the outflow? I don't understand that you need consent. If there's a problem with the ranches and the irrigators and stuff like that, at what point would you consent?
Who's the question for?
Well, for Miss Rice or Mr. Learman.
It's my understanding from the FERC license that Granite County Fish, Wildlife and Parks, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the U.S. Forest Service need to consent to any temporary modification from the license agreement.
And so how do we get, you don't think that it's an emergency and that the water should be let out?
What I know is the Fish and Wildlife Service has made the decision for no consent for the temporary modification.
Was that by letter? Is there a copy of the letter? I don't see it in the packet.
My understanding is that Dan Brewer with the Fish and Wildlife Service had sent an email to the county.
It was an email.
Oh, okay, because I haven't seen that. And you heard earlier when we had the ranger from Pintler, he said that the water source with the fires and stuff would probably be Georgetown Lake, Georgetown Reservoir. So there's a possibility water is going to be coming out of there. And it looks like the water is getting lower, and there's spots with that mold or whatever you call it. You can see that in certain areas. It just doesn't look very healthy, no
That's
matter
not
how you
gonna,
look at it.
Elena, that's not gonna happen this year, so.
I'm sorry, what's not gonna happen?
Most likely not gonna happen this year, scooping water out of Georgetown. for fires.
Well, we hope so. We don't know what's gonna happen with the fires.
Betty, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just had a question. Is the reservoir, is Georgetown Reservoir, is it stocked? Does the US Fish and Wildlife Service or the Montana Fish and Game, do they stock that lake?
The reservoir is stocked by Fish, Wildlife and Parks. For specifics on the stocking program, Brad would be the best one to answer that.
So I get that. So the big thing in the letter that came from Brad was about a fish kill. They stock it every year. I mean, we had water rights there before the reservoir was there. So we're kind of getting backed into a corner here. And as I predicted at the last commissioners meeting, by the time that it takes to get consent, you never get consent. And I didn't really hear the state weigh in. I heard the state say, hey, we'll do what Fish and Wildlife Service says. In a stocked reservoir where there's water rights that are there. So something's going to have to be addressed down the line, but just to be on record.
As far as the your concern with the stocking, it's not quite as simple as just you know, if we kill fish, we just stock more fish and we suddenly have the fishery back, because you know, some of these fish, a lot of these fish that are 16 inches plus take 3 to 4 years to grow that big. So you can't just kind of kill the fish off and start over again by just stocking more fish. It takes 3 to 4 years to grow those fish. And that would be 3 to 4 years that people wouldn't have large fish to catch. And when we did see the fish kill in 2018, what we actually saw mostly dead were actually large rainbow trout. So it's not like we're going to kill a bunch of small fish we just stocked. It's probably going to be large fish if one happened. So
No, I appreciate that and I understand it. And if you have very many years of people that have working ranches not have water, I hope there's the same amount of concern for those folks, because it's going to make a big difference. It'll change the valley considerably. If you can't get your water, it makes your decisions pretty easy about what has to happen there. So it's going to be a long and arduous, I think, pathway. And I understand the concern, and it's a long-term project, but so are working lands and keeping people on the land. And that's my priority, and I care about it. But I also care, you know, about the fish and the things that are going on too. So I appreciate your comment.
Well, and just to be clear, so as we're not getting misrepresented. So it's my understanding that the Fish and Wildlife Service is not here, but the Fish and Wildlife Service has made the decision of no consent. From the state's perspective, you know, our position is to respect that decision, understanding the requirements of the FERC license. So we know that the decision would need to be made by the 4 entities that I listed previously. The Fish and Wildlife Service that says no consent. So based on that, the FERC license doesn't require any further decisions. One of the parties has said no. To get into the specifics of why they said no, it would be better to take that up with the Fish and Wildlife Service.
I understand that. It makes it pretty easy for the other state entities to not even weigh in. And I mean, we're going through a state adjudication process with the water of the state of Montana, and we're doing that as well. So I just don't think it's such an easy thing. It took a week, almost a week, to get the reply from the Fish and Wildlife Service. So this is exactly what happens when you cannot have the agility to make decisions and who's in control. So obviously we know who's in control. You don't have to have any consensus. You just have to have one person say, I'm not going to consider this. And you know, it's interesting when one thing outweighs everything else. And, you know, there's a lot of different people understand.
Okay, thanks. Blaine has a comment.
I was gonna say, I agree with Betty's concerns there, because in past years, Fish, Wildlife and Parks has given an opinion on it. So I think this year is a little different than you're not weighing in on an opinion. So I understand you wanna, you know, they're a partner, Fish Wildlife Services is a partner of Fish Wildlife Parks, but I think you should at least have an opinion.
Well, and I'd also say, what about the fisheries in Flint Creek itself? You know, I think that should be a consideration as well. If you're gonna look holistically at something, you're gonna impact those as well. I think Mr. Vitor brought that up at the last meeting.
Well, and our opinion is to respect that decision by the Fish and Wildlife Service. That's our opinion.
Any other public comment? No, don't see any, so I'll make a motion that we stay at 30 CFS.
I'll second it.
Any comment on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I guess we're done with this.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thanks.
Thanks.
We're off until 10:25. Hey, we're here with Brandon Parrott, and we're gonna talk about the dam tender job and a couple of things. Would you be willing to go to training
Absolutely,
for like a week?
Yeah.
And when is it?
of course.
First week of December in Bend, Oregon.
So we'll pay for everything.
Flying them out there?
Sounds good, huh?
Are you flying them out there or are you driving?
He can take the truck. No.
I do have family who live in Eastern Oregon, but they don't live in Bend. But I got family who lives in Eastern Oregon.
We probably flying them.
December, that would be smart.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Okay, that's good. One thing I had is, there was another thing too.
Gates.
With the locks
Yeah.
on the crest, maybe we should change those.
Sure.
And then give a key to, you have a key and give it to Billy.
Yep.
So we can get in there.
Yeah.
If we need to.
Too old to be
Do that.
climbing it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Me and Steve went up there and changed them, but I don't know where that key went. I'm not sure. But I'll get it taken care of.
Okay, in the meeting we had in the afternoon, and you weren't there, they were emphasizing like going down and looking for leaks. And they talked about every place a leak could happen. We could have summarized
Yeah,
that with.
yeah.
Look for leaks.
Mhm. Kind of common sense.
Yeah, common sense, just, especially if it's muddy or whatever.
Right.
And there was that, what else was there?
Most of it was like monitoring.
Did you,
Everything was monitor and analysis, monitor and analysis.
did you still have a copy of it?
I do, I can actually.
I
get you
think
Would you
maybe,
mind?
yeah, you would,
That would be great.
yeah.
I did get, I think your email.
I have all
Or
the
somebody's
notes from
email
it
from it?
too, because I list the recorders, so I typed up notes from the
Sure.
whole thing. So I'll scan it and I'll send it all to you in a big.
Yeah, I think you would have got a lot out of it.
And I should have, I had something I had to do, but
No, I'll send all that to you today.
We can, like I said, you can boil it all down to, you know, if you can, walk down and look and see if there's, you know,
Right.
in the winter, I would suggest. doing that.
I did one this last winter and never seen that much snow because they wanted me to check the gates. I was like, okay, I will. But they're locked, I promise. Wasn't a big deal.
So their comments, I can't remember, was it having a ladder to go down there? We should have had.
The
provided-
letter that's actually in there, in the correspondence, that letter that came over from FERC, because they mailed me 2 copies along with the email.
And that's to check the spillway itself, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Right, to go down, you know, like we walk down below down there, but it was hard for people to walk down.
It is, yeah.
Special access, they say no ladder was available to access the spillway culvert, and the rope access the county requires to safely inspect the spillway chute was not available.
At minimum, a ladder providing safe access to the spillway culvert must be available for future dam safety inspections.
We might think about that.
Having something like that up there.
Anything else?
Once upon a time, the county was gonna put a sign up kind of halfway down to the face of the dam there, saying like, stay off right there too, and no swimming.
No.
I don't see a sign. I know that thinks there's signs on each side, but more signage up there might be better.
Do we want to give a copy of this to Brendan?
Sure. Did you guys read that in email? Kelsey and Doug emailed it to the commissioner's email. We got hard copies of it.
This,
Yeah.
yeah, I read
Did you
it.
guys read that in email?
Mhm.
And it was e-filed too.
Okay.
Wonder if there was a ladder there once upon a time, got moved, or just never has been.
You're welcome. Give us a copy, Fred.
I think there was one, but
Or I can send him a copy when it's in stuff.
Oh, no, where could we store it that it wouldn't leave?
right. Well, I would suggest where the lawnmower down at the plant
Oh,
itself,
okay.
because there's a garage down there, and there probably is a ladder there. I'm almost positive.
Why
So
don't you check on that? then?
I will. I'll do that today.
Oh, and we just had to do our safety training for ladders. There's supposed to be like a double rail, like double width, not just a single.
For what?
The OSHA requirement, I think, is not just a single rail one, it's gotta be a double rail that has this, you can go up and down. I'm not sure you call it.
Special.
Special ed. I don't know.
Up and down.
Oh. There was 2 incidents of graffiti this year, so I don't know if that's common or not, but there was 2 incidences of that. It's kind of off topic, but there was that I had to spray.
Yeah, that's right.
So just FYI on that.
Yeah, one was pretty vulgar. wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's,
Why can't they just leave stuff alone?
Anaconda Deer Lodge County, so we could turn it into them, and probably never
Yeah.
catch the people.
No.
Anything
Okay.
else?
I'll email that stuff out to you then and I'll start figuring out. this.
The CO2 that I was referring to.
Oh, yeah.
All that is just it's to check the to gauge the meter, the reader like he had, because I did have that with me, but I
Okay.
didn't realize you didn't need the CO, that's the CO2 was just to check it, to verify it and make sure that it's okay.
Okay,
So, because I actually had the device. with
okay.
me. I was in my truck, but I thought you actually needed the whole set, which you don't. When I
Okay,
looked at his, I was like, oh, I have that.
so you don't need me to order anything?
You could order them just so we have them, just to gauge it, but I would like 2 maybe would be it, because all that is just to check it, and make sure that it's good,
Okay,
the device itself.
perfect. I think I
That's
have-
checking the CO2
The
and
CO2
down
meter.
the-
And when you go down the hole. Yeah.
Okay. I'll double check.
I didn't realize that that's what it was.
Okay, so we're gonna give him a copy of that big
Yep.
sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
That'd be good. That's the diagram.
Yeah.
And I'll read through that, if there's anything else that I think that I come across that I could see. I'll obviously let you guys know that I recognize that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But anything better I could do,
Right.
let me know,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
you guys too,
absolutely.
let me know, because I very much to it, but you definitely don't want that thing like something going wrong. Unless I know that,
Yeah,
so.
So we'll plan on sending you to Bend, Oregon then. December.
First week of December.
Well, I guess that's it. Thanks for coming
Appreciate it.
in.
See ya.
See ya. Okay, we might as well go right into Granite County drafting in response to hydroelectric in regards to Flint Creek Dam project. Just
So I jumped the gun a little bit, sent an email to Matt Williams, their attorney, and said, Commissioners, you're looking at litigation if you don't want to send us the information here. He said you would on the insurance premium quote and, get back to mediation. So I sent that probably last Thursday. I haven't heard back from Matt Williams. So, yeah, it's frustrating.
What can we do?
Well, you can look at hiring an expert on the cost analysis and what was foreseeable and what was not. It'd be someone that would be probably an expert in dams, but there's people out there.
How would you find them?
Probably doing an internet search and calling around. Do you want me to try to
Yeah,
find someone, bring it back to you?
I think so.
I think we should start,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think so
start looking
too.
and see what the options are.
All right, well, yeah, I had started some research on talking to people, but never did find someone that would have been suitable. But there's a lot of people that do cost analysis on dams and so forth, so gotta be someone out there. As far as another letter, I mean, I couldn't get any more blunt.
No,
No, no.
All right, well, I'll start
yeah.
trying to find someone that could potentially have them on Zoom and talk to them.
Sure. Got any public comment? Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Just look into it.
All right.
Okay, Elena?
Yeah, I have to wait to be unmuted. Anyway, it's funny, I've been doing some research. I sent some stuff to Blaine. And I did come across the minutes, the joint meeting back in December of 2019. It's kind of interesting. It looked like at that time, we were still waiting for something to happen with hydrodynamics, having a problem with them then. And so it looks like we've been trying for them to get in touch with us going way back. And to me, it seems like they won't. Why should they? They're receiving the benefit of it. They get their money. They don't have to pay anything out. And I still think, Blaine, just drop the license with FERC. See what's going to happen from there. I mean, how much could a lawsuit be? And maybe the way the lawyers work, it'll be a lot of money, but I don't think hydrodynamics has money to speak of either for a lawsuit. I've checked their background. It's not that great. But that's my opinion. Thank you.
Could we check that and see what would happen if we just drop it?
Well, the issue with, we have a binding contract with them. it's, just to drop the license would get the county sued, there'd be a judgment against the county. But making an argument that, yeah, there's some unforeseeable costs here that are put on the county that they're not having to pay. Then basically you go into court and ask for contract modification. That's what you're doing. And so I think that's there's I'm not saying it's 100% chance of winning that, but I think they have a good expert witness. You have a good chance of winning that versus just saying we're scrapping it all. They're going to get a judgment against you. So I think the plan should be to get an expert that can come in and back up what we're saying.
Absolutely, I agree, Blaine.
Elena has another comment.
Elena?
Blaine, you made a good point. What if, you start the process and then they would have to acknowledge your request? Like, what if you do a mandamus that you want them to say something or communicate with the county because they're just ignoring you? And basically that's what they're doing.
I think litigation with an expert gets them off top dead center. They did agree to the mediation. We had the mediation. They're trying to get the insurance quotes, but everything is, yes, as slow as possible. No, they said weeks and weeks ago they would send us information that they didn't. So yeah, that's not being a good contractual partner.
Yeah, because I remember the original, going back, there was the original contract that never really went through. And then they decided to revise the contract, which they couldn't revise a contract. It was never really signed. And then it was a new contract with them that was, several things were changed on it. And so I think there's confusion as to what really the contract, the original one, consisted of. And by the way, Blaine, it's not your fault because you weren't the county attorney at that time. We did have a county attorney that was, he wasn't really that into getting involved as you did. And looking back, there was a lot of things wrong with that whole negotiation, setting up the contract and everything else. And there's one other thing I wanted to bring up several times. I do have a professional who is supposed to supply me the information. But I remember when the FERC license was applied for or going through the negotiations, that the FERC sent a letter to the CSKT to ask them if they would like to get involved with the negotiations. I thought that was unusual at that time. I wondered why. And they said they would like to be involved with the negotiations. And with that water compact, I'm wondering if they still have some kind of say in that water that's up there. Just wondering, but I am checking further on that. Thank you.
Yeah, right now, I don't see it affecting the county's storage right, but yeah, there could be more to come with that. So, yeah, I agree with you that hindsight's 20/20 on that one. The county should have just hired a consultant and put in the facilities, the hydropower facilities themselves. And I strongly encourage that in the future. Once the current contract is up, the county and that facility is worn out, to county to put the money into it all and then get all the money back out of it, because I think it can make money. But that's 30+ years down. We'll all be gone by, well, Billy will still be here.
Me.
She'll get her plaque on the wall.
Any other comments? I don't see anything, so I guess we can be off until 10:50.
Is okay. Wherever you want to say. Okay. Oh, we good? Okay, so we're gonna do May. So the checking account was 1,936,908. Deposits transit was 129,964. Less treasuries checks 15,562. Then we had an adjustment of 5,593, so that left a balance 2,045,716. So the payroll account was 30,988. CDs, we had 529,775. STIP protested was 84,795. Memorial was 36,082. Airport was 68,228. STIP balance was 8,886,53. We no longer have the money market. I'll have to take that out. Treasury bills, 186,31. Petty cash was 725. So we had on Black Mountain side, 11,886,162. So a difference of 3,566.54. Okey dokey. Okey-dokey.
I'll just, I did have extras made. Okay, if I just put, yeah, just throw them. Okay, all right. I was just thought of something, but now I forgot.
Okay, thank you.
I don't
That
know
it?
what it was, yeah, I know.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, guys. See ya.
Okay. We're off until 11:05. Okay, now we're on a work session with clerk and recorder.
Okay. We got the taxable valuation.
Okay.
On Friday, so I was working on budgets and that's what I have here today. So I've gone through most of. I don't think, okay. So do you want to start with the general?
So
Or do you want to?
like, we've got so she's able, on this right here, she's able to figure what each fund in the countywide funds, how many meals it's gonna take
Okay,
for them for each fund.
For what,
So she's
yeah,
got it figured out for the countywide
okay.
funds. And then these are the certified values, and she did a formula for each fund. So what we're discussing right now is the health insurance. We need to probably look at that.
right, we'll look at that some more, because the mills are awful low
And
on it. It seems like we
because-
should need more.
The mills is $2 higher, which would
Mhm.
make a difference. So we'll use less mills because we have more money.
Mhm. But it's a lot less,
Yeah.
so we'll try to
Okay.
figure out what that
Yeah,
anomaly is.
so just to,
Mhm.
and there was the road fund.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but the general fund we can,
Yeah,
But
oh,
let's
so,
look at
right,
the-
the general, fund, that was I was just putting in that, the only one, the question on that one was the county building, and for repairs and maintenance, I just stuck in 300,000 in that, and is that, I mean, you guys will look at that further. So here is the road one. And like I was saying last year, that, I mean, and I'm sure Blanche was telling you a few years before that it was going down the cash. The cash is down to 17,000 now. And like we discussed for starting out this year, and then like we discussed last week, the forest reserve monies, that's gonna be going down, or what is the SRS?
SRS.
Yeah, is gonna be going down like 5%, so that's only 275,000 anticipated. Taxes are around 400, And so just with the budget, you know, to get by for all the things we have and with no reserve, we need $527,685 out of PILT,
Just to balance.
just to balance.
So right here, you see right
Oh.
here, this shows that there's only 17,000. And usually there's
800.
800,000, 800,000 easy
But it's been steadily.
at the end of the year for cash, and we only have 17.
Mhm.
So,
So where'd all that go? To the
well,
trucking and stuff?
trucking and,
Well,
well, the
trucks
trucking and
and-
stuff came out of a gas tax, didn't it? The
Yeah,
millions?
that, right. So it's just, I mean, 2 graders, an excavator, 4 dump trucks. The payroll's pretty hefty.
Yeah, the payroll is what, 60%? Of the
probably pretty
budget?
close.
How much do
55.
we have in bill?
Well, we have probably,
1.7.
Hmm?
1.7.
Counting this year? We didn't know.
Yeah, I was just cash for,
We haven't
the
been
end
paid
of-
for this year though, in bill. have we?
there's $1 million in PILT.
No, I know, but
here, just a second, then I'll.
didn't I see something, we're getting another 300,000 something,
Probably, here's,
365.
Oh, we're getting more, is that what you're saying? So did we get that already in June?
we got the 303, yeah, that came in. And so, and.
And that's above what usually, was it 200 and something?
No,
Is
that
it-
was just what came, that's what came in. for
Are
the
we getting
fiscal
more
year.
too?
Not that I'm aware of, but, so now the next fiscal year, I just budgeted like 293 revenue, because you just don't really know what's gonna come in. So I kind of. Was that?
So when did we get that 303?
Oh, it came in like in May or June.
I thought I
can go
saw
back and look.
something later than that we're gonna get more.
You get it every year, but it doesn't come in till like the end of the.
See, what we used to do, we
Fiscal.
used to budget it in the next fiscal year, but it came in June all the time.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe Vicky can give you that figure real quick of what we got, and we got it in June.
Right, it was a 300.
Okay, so you've got it in there in this budget.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
that's.
you've already
Oh,
anticipated
no, I don't.
Okay, you
I
didn't.
anticipated 293. not-
for, to come in, which will come in
Right,
June.
next June.
Okay.
Yeah, a year from now.
Okay,
Yeah,
but without that anticipation, what's our cash right now?
1.7.
1.7, and then we'll get another,
So we'll get 2.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So are you gonna have to put the money in? I mean, it's gonna take half the pill to get this.
Well,
You can't, there isn't anything you can do about it.
Yeah, there's.
So when I made a suggestion that maybe pull the salaries for the commissioners out of road,
Mm-hmm.
that might give a little bit of reserve. Because there's no reserve, and that's
No, and
not
like
good
I
either.
came in last year with the road budget and said, you know, there was only 3% reserve was all we could do. I mean, that's, and I.
See, and you
trying
want to
to-
try to at least have 15%.
Mhm.
You can have 30%, but we've never been able to do
Right.
30%. So.
Mhm. So, and then also with the paving project, which is in the gas tax one, because that's where I have it budgeted, which we can change all of these, but I've had it budgeted out of gravel part, that we've got one line for the millings at 50,000, which they thought about and then one line for the paving, so that we keep that all completely separate and can watch that. So when we're getting $64,011 from Barca towards that, that'll be the project, right? Okay, and then 3201, which is 5% of that, comes from road and goes into that. So we're still gonna need to pull 82,000 plus from Pilt into there to, because the paving is 160.
So there's the 64,000 plus the regular gas tax,
Mhm.
which is how much?
So that's in addition to this?
Yeah, that's in a different fund.
That would be in a different
Different
fund.
fund, but it's, yeah,
They're-
still kind of road stuff.
They're
Still kind of
paying,
road
so
stuff.
they're paying the millings and stuff out of the gas tax fund, which is a special revenue fund. It's not the road fund. So it's saving the road money. And that's where the Barca gas tax is going, and the other gas tax is the Fed fuel tax is 55,920. So, and then there's 48,000 in cash. So you're gonna need money from Pilt in that too. See, to take care of the millings and the paving for this year. So how much are we pulling out of Pilt? Is it, so those are the only two that we're pulling? out of
That's,
Pilt?
that, so far, that's all I'm, so let's see. Okay, so, there.
Okay, and then, yeah, what did we decide for the TV districts? What did we decide for the TV districts? We kind of did,
Take it out.
because it's
I don't
gonna
know.
take to cover it, but you had the cash in there.
Right, yeah,
So we have the
So-
cash in there, so if we did what, 15 each?
I think that would be nice, and that's what we've been kind of doing every year, I think, just to
Okay,
help them out.
so maybe figure
So-
15 each. And
I'll
as
just
far
pencil
as
that
you're
in.
looking at the other funds, you don't, they're all looking good here.
Is that a pencil?
I don't know.
I don't think it is. Thank you. Eek.
These are really,
I like pencils, okay,
I thought I had another one, but,
okay.
okay. Yeah, so, looking at the group health plan,
We'll look
Yeah,
at
look
that
at
some
that.
more, and, yeah, cause it's just
because that's way,
bizarre.
yeah,
It
that's
just-
just something.
I looked way back, I looked for it, I did the numbers a couple times, I'm like, why is this? So we'll look at that a little bit more.
So could
And-
there
and-
possibly been where it didn't get transferred correctly
I don't know, I'll take a look, but yeah, I know
into
it's
the general
general
fund, and
fund, but all of that looks,
you have, I mean, if you have your
yeah,
12 months,
yeah. I'll take a look at it
yeah,
again.
I mean, that just,
It just, right, that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to point that out
Wrong.
and have you, it's like, that just is
Um,
really, really bizarre. But so, and in the general, what I did is I pretty much did like 20% reserve on each of the things, so, and that can
And it
always
worked
be
out good.
adjusted to, yeah. Then, well, we only have like a total of 14% as soon as you get down to
what all the other funds.
that, well, for all of that.
Oh, okay,
It's like 14%. So I mean, we could change, I mean, that's why I did all these and I put it all on little sticky notes because it all can be changed. So I don't know when you guys want to look over all of them.
so I guess we'd
together
have to
and-
pick a time, because all the problem funds,
Oh,
we have a problem fund.
well, it's not really a problem. So there are two others that we could talk about, which would be the
Okay.
Flake Creek project, which I think that one's good. It's not a problem. But, and then the solid waste, let me take a look. It's back together. Okay. There. So what do we have?
You kind of understand that?
Unfortunately.
You should have seen me on Friday when I did that.
Well, what's
Oh.
been happening with the road fund is continually for the last 5 years, expending, and it's like, it's a money tree. And it was gonna end up just like it is now with only 17.
We still have some of that COVID money left, don't we?
Yeah.
Can't we throw that in?
Well, I think what we should do is just use PILT. Because PILT is showing, PILT is actually a tax dollar from the federal government, so it's showing the road. And it's probably a better paper trail, which the COVID money is a one-time thing and it's gone.
No, just to increase our cash on hand or whatever.
Oh, you mean above what we're putting in, another 100,000?
Just a thought.
Cancel the new truck, because there's 120 or 200.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to good news here. So with the money that's you're transferring in from the, I think it was the COVID money or something. Anyway, so this is the Flint Creek project. So figuring out what Dowell and Great West, and if you do the seismic things, that all comes to about 134,000. So adding all of that with the wages and blah, 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 it comes to 209. So which leaves 42 that you can put more into 366 or split between 350, 366. So anyway, you guys can think about that, what you want to do, where you want to do with that, because I know that the payroll will be just fine. Also, and then there's also the money for he's gonna go to the training.
Yep, I'm gonna look.
So the
we'll have
last three figures here are what? They're not sitting up here, or are they sitting up here?
They're sitting up there
Right
in here,
Okay,
right here.
so that's what's gonna cost for what we need to pay
Mhm.
out.
Right.
And there's the cash and there's the anticipated, so the total budget, 209, 618 and 251, 796. So there's like 40,000 that can,
That's all. So
that would be used for reserve, but then you're gonna get the,
Right, or we could split it or
Yeah.
put some of it in, I don't know what line item you want to take the training out of or how much the training's gonna be. So we can,
Yeah.
put some of that money into
So,
whatever
I
line
mean,
you
it
want
looks
that.
okay, we're gonna get.
That
by
one's
this
good.
year.
barely.
Yeah,
Barely.
Hey,
but
that was a
barely's-
lot-
Barely's okay,
that's a lot better than it was last year.
yeah.
I mean,
Barely's
it
okay.
is being helped out by the CARES money, but it's, it's good, it's good. Okay, and then here is,
No, that's
The-
counting the money we put in there.
Yes.
yeah. So, but that is the CARES money, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is the solid waste. And I just used last year's number of however many units that we had, because we won't know the number for a while. Or Vicky wasn't sure when we would know the number, but that was, so using those numbers and multiplying it by 135, which is what it's gonna be this year. We're just kind of squeaking by on that one. I think it's gonna be a little bit better when, I'm sure that there will be more units than
Than what we
is-
have.
Than what I have on there.
Hopefully.
Right. So, I mean, he wanted to put some money into capital project towards a loader or whatever, but if the numbers stay the same, that's not
Doesn't the
possible.
road have a loader?
Apparently, the one at the dump the dump site isn't. I think it's a loader, but it might be a backhoe, or that might be the same thing.
Well, they want to have it on site, I think, all the time for compacting. Of course, then they want the compactor.
Well, and
So
that's the
maybe
thing,
that's what the capital project's for.
The
is the
capital-
compact
they
truck.
can't put any money in the capital project,
Right.
because they're just squeaking by.
Yeah, so unless I mark
Yeah.
that up, unless the numbers really are a lot higher when we get the actual numbers, but right now, I kind of mark that off that that's not possible this year. So,
Okay, I'm gonna say something.
Uh-oh.
Only because What do we pay the admin? Is that Paul's salary for the solid waste? It's 15,242?
No, that would be Lynn. Or no, that'd be both, or do we have, what do we have in there?
Where's
Yeah,
his?
1, 2, 3.
Is his,
His
so
must
we
be
have,
included
in
yeah,
that?
in that one, yeah. So, let's see here. Where's? Oh, there it is. Supervisor, here it is, 20.
so it might not seem a lot, but 21,000 for the manager for the solid waste, when we actually have 2 managers on site. And I know that Scott feels that he does so much, but I think that we need to consider maybe eliminating the supervisor position to save money for the solid waste budget. And if John Kendall or Jody Butler need things, they can call the Lynn, and Lynn can get a hold of the commission or the road, or can call the road, and then they can go do what they need to do.
How it was in the
Instead
past.
of, I mean, that's just how I feel. This is another fund that's going to go defunct, and we're gonna have to keep increasing the fees for a position that we
I
could
see what you're saying, I just don't know how it's gonna work. It would work without him.
always worked before, Chuck.
Well,
That's how
I
it
mean,
was done.
each site took care of their own site, and if they needed anything, they called the road to bring it to them. I don't know what he does for them that they can't do for themselves, is the only thing I'm saying. I mean, that's just, I'm putting it out there. So it's gonna end up, we're gonna be raising fees again. We can't keep raising fees.
Kind of like the road department in there.
And Keith, the administrative costs for these funds are almost to the point where you shouldn't be. What's the percentage solid waste for the administrative, for the payroll and stuff? And then the regular. Thank you. You're welcome.
So you mean like the
So what-
20%? Because
In the budget, what's the percentage for salaries?
For all salaries?
For salaries and benefits for the solid waste compared to the full budget?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, oh, those ones are terrible. So 195,
So what's the total budget?
the total budget is 426, 460.
And
So it'd be 195 divided by 460.
oh, that wasn't right. So 195,
195 divided by 460.
460. 42%. So it's 42% for benefits, I guess that is
For this total
for
salary.
the total
and stuff.
salaries. 42% of the budget is total salaries. So now we're looking like we can't put anything in capital project because there isn't enough money. So they'll have to borrow the roads loader. I don't know, just thought. And probably shouldn't even brought it up with Scott not being here.
Okay, I'll put all my papers back together.
Okay, so,
I think those were kind of the main ones. Everything else looks pretty good unless you'd like me to do like a 15% reserve on all of the things in the general, so then we have a little bit more reserve for the total general. But
so how many meals do you get for the countywide?
the 127.61.
So that's
So and then for the
allowable.
general, yeah, so then the general has 73,
Okay, so the
which
gen-
is, I mean, the numbers. are pretty much the same as last year.
and everybody's budget,
And
except
everybody,
like
mhm,
the general went from 80.88 down to 73.59.
mhm. But the numbers are still, I mean, we went to 1.1 as opposed to 1 last year. So. Anyway. I was just so tickled to be able to get this all done so early last year.
So yeah, looking at that health insurance, that's fun.
Yeah, that is a funny one. So I will look at it more and just seems bizarre. That's what I thought, I pointed out.
What do you think, Chuck?
Mhm.
So I guess what we need to do is, we're gonna have to vote where we're gonna go through each one
Mhm.
and approve it, looking at each one when you're ready. Right here, and then so that it'd be open to the public.
Mhm. So, yeah, you guys just need to decide when you want to do that, because I can, well, I've got convention, I mean, I think they're pretty well, except for trying to figure out what's going on with that one, why it's 0.74.
So budget has to be set by what date?
Looking at it, it seems like it would be like September 1st or August 31st, which doesn't have to be in.
So you have to
September or
start getting it
something.
in the paper. The notice where it's gonna be available. When are you gonna have this available for the public? Is it available for the public right now?
I would say that it's available now,
For them to be able to come in and review it?
yeah.
Okay,
If you guys, like I said, I did a 20% on all of these. If you'd rather me do a 15%, that's good. That's why I put them all on little stickies there.
well, if you
to
put
show what it
20%
is.
and there's still plenty of money left over, I would keep it
Just
at
leave it the way it
20%.
is.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we've got 20%.
Yeah,
Any public comment? Okay, that's surprising.
okay, so, all right.
Okay, so what we need to do is probably get it in the paper. And we're gonna need to sit here and be able to go through each
Right.
one
Mhm.
and look at each line item. And what Sarah did now was show us the problem ones. And we took care of the problem ones. So what we can do now is look through all of them, every line item, what each person requested. And if we feel that there is one amount that somebody wants that is too much, we can bring them in and question them. That's how I feel that we can do that.
Yeah,
Other than that, I think that this could be open to the public. and they can
right.
come
So
in.
do you want me to leave them like this, or would you like me to write these on the paper?
I think
Leave
if
it like this
you're- yeah,
until,
I think until it's finalized. I
Yeah.
think your sticky notes are good, but for public to look at that, I think you need to, well, you'll section them off where they can look at it.
right, I had them all, yeah, we've kind of.
And then then,
I have them in the little, so I have general, I have levy, and I have non-levy. Three
Right,
different
right.
folders.
Yeah,
So,
and then we'll need to see what these are.
yeah, and I'll get that cleaned up
So
for,
how much time do you want to devote to? I would give it
Couple of hours.
a couple hours, yeah, to
Do you
look at.
wanna, break these out in like a couple of different work sessions, or do you guys wanna just sit down and do this all?
Well, I think,
We have to do it all at once. but-
yeah, I think all at once because
Okay.
she'll have them all organized and ready.
Okay,
And then we can just go through the general fund and I'll approve the general fund.
yeah, just do
And
each
then,
folder.
and then go through the special revenue funds that aren't countywide and the voted. And I think that would take for us, because you've done all the grunt work, Sarah, I think that then we can go through them. I think
I
a
think
couple
you should
hours
be
we'd
able to,
do
and
that.
I, most of the stuff, I've tried to put the information in there. You know, why I put certain numbers, you know, or where that's coming from, or, cause that helps me the next year.
Yeah,
Why did
yeah,
I do that?
absolutely, yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, that's, I don't
And
know
then
if you
it
still, I have big piles of notes this big and go through, this is what I did.
Uh-huh, exactly, and so I just staple them all with that, and it's
Yeah.
all,
August
It's all right
31st,
there.
is that when you wanted this? Or when do you want to do?
Oh,
this?
No, we have to adopt the budget by then. So we have to get notice in the paper, how long is it, what's that little thing, how long does it have to be in the paper?
it looked like it was only 2 weeks, or I
So,
sent
'cause
it
we're
in like
gonna-
for the 27th last year, and then we adopted on the 3rd, so it was like.
Yeah, so we have to put it when we're gonna be available for anybody to come in, so
Oh, okay.
So, and letting them
how
just
did
come
you do
and
it
take a
last
look
year?
at.
How did you guys do it when?
We put it up online and they could see it online, or they could come in and look, just like how you would have the stuff out on the counter.
But there was, at one point, there was always a commissioner for that.
Oh, right, so no, last year it was just one day, right before it was done, it was like Monday, they would come in and voice their thing. So that's, I think, why we put it online, so that they could look at it, and then they could come in and talk to the commission, and then the very next day it was adopted.
And is that okay? Can we do that? Because
Well, we seemed to think it was
there's,
okay,
you
so-
have to put it in the paper and it has to be, they can come in anytime they want and open for discussion,
Right,
but
and
I
it-
guess if. I think we need to do some more research on
Yeah.
how,
Yeah, we had done it, it was like a week before, and that was all, I mean, we,
I'll get a hold of Blaine.
It worked
So-
last year.
Hmm?
It worked
Yeah.
good last year.
yeah.
yeah, as long as
So-
we're doing this and it's the correct way to
Right,
do it.
because I looked at the dates and how we
Okay.
needed to go back
Okay.
and whatever, and that's, it was just, yeah, they just did it in one day instead of,
Okay, so, but we need to look at all these before
yeah.
we
so you-
adopt the budgets.
So work session next week.
So next week would be okay.
Okay.
And
I won't
then,
be here to answer any questions, but,
and then it needs to be open to the public for so long. And then we need to have comment on the budget, I guess, on the agenda.
Okay. So
So-
let's do work session next week. That gives ample time to. if we need
Well,
to bring
Sarah
them.
won't be here. We'd need Sarah.
I think,
Well, to
but-
adopt the budget.
well, so, but I think, Blanche has plenty of experience here that she can figure out what's it, because I'm gonna be at convention next week.
Next.
So,
Yeah.
But I think that.
Oh, yeah,
any
we won't need
questions-
her next week.
Yeah, I think any questions you have, write them down, but
Yeah,
Blanche, I'm
we'll
sure
just-
can answer.
If we have any
anything.
questions, we'll sticky note it and give it back to her.
Yeah, and
Um.
and
But
I think I kind of stuck to the same format that you did, so it'll, Blanche will be able to answer.
so what you did last year is that and that'd be, you'd put it online for them to look at. Then if they had any questions,
Then they
We
came
could-
in, yeah,
then we'd set up a time on the agenda.
that's what they did for the public to come in
Okay.
when the commissioners would actually be here so that they could ask questions of the commissioners. And that was when it was done, like on a Monday,
Okay,
before adopting it the next day, or it was a
Okay.
Tuesday and adopting it on
okay, so
Wednesday,
then we'd
something
have
like
to have a
that.
special session to
So-
be in here.
And I'll
Okay.
get with
So
Blaine
I'll-
to make sure
yeah.
we got it.
I'll get
Okay.
the dates.
So I think, Billy, next week we can look at them in the 2-hour time and then you can get them online for people to look at.
Yep.
As the ads in the paper.
So after you guys have looked at it,
Yeah.
then do it,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, it has to be, but I don't know if you can set up an appointment, if they're gonna get it in the paper. You gotta get it,
Right.
you know what I
Let
mean?
me- yeah.
It's
No,
gotta
I have to-
run
if
from
I
here
want
to
anything
here,
in
yeah.
on a Thursday, I give it to them the week before that, like around Tuesday or Wednesday, and say that I want it in the next week's meeting.
Okay.
So,
We gotta make sure Scott's gonna be here next week.
yeah,
Where is he?
they're on fire.
Fire.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. Harley Olson, Payton's.
okay.
Okay, so I will. use that, and I'll get some dates put together.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I
All right.
guess.
I think I got all my stuff. Oh. And Maria, do you have a budget? You have a budget for the.
Isn't it already submitted?
Oops.
I thought they dropped it off.
Oh.
We did it early, we were so proud of ourselves.
Oh. Well, I'll find out where. Huh?
It was months ago.
Mm.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay, oh, maybe,
Well, let's see if it's- maybe it was just so early and
Yeah,
finally
we ran over.
got set aside. Should I just move on?
yeah, just move on up.
Okay, now it's time for Maria. County Hospital.
Good morning.
It's nice to see you in person. We're trying to get out, even though the case count's going up quickly in the county. As of yesterday, it was 12, according
Really?
to public health. It's at least 13
Hmm.
at this moment, so.
So if a person was to get a shot now, where's the best place to go?
Anywhere at all, just get one and get entered into the drawing.
Where?
You can get it at the hospital, the pharmacy, or if public health.
Do they have to thaw them out or what, how they work that?
Yes, let us know. Let us know that you're gonna come in. You wanna come in tomorrow? Tomorrow would be great.
I didn't say it
And then
was.
get entered into the drawing.
Get entered into the drawing from Granite Mountain Bank. They're doing a chance to win $5,000 to any Granite County resident 12 years old and up, because that's the eligible age, gets in the drawing to win $5,000. That's hugely generous.
Yeah,
Hugely.
yeah.
So we're super excited. First thing is I wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that Ashley Westfall has resigned effective August 31st. Okay, so I do have some flyers if, for your own personal reference or anything. The top one's the one in color. So yeah, we're excited for her to, try a new adventure and it's exciting. It's exciting for her. So we are interviewing for a replacement and we have 2 really good candidates, 2 top runners for the spot. And hopefully we'll make a decision before the end of the week. And then we'll get that person started pretty quickly. Can you hear me okay? Okay. All right, in the financial review, our checking account balance as of the end of July was approximately 437,000. With current payroll coming out, puts the projected cash available at about 347,000. There are anticipated deposits that'll come through before August 15th in a total of about 279,000. That'd be about, that includes Medicare, long-term care, Medicaid, other insurances, any self-pay grants or mill levy money. Should total approximately that much. Projected cash out the door through August 15th is approximately 150,000. So that leaves our cash reserve at about 476,000 by the end of, or the middle of August. And those things are so fluid that it is a projection. This is the bank's flyer, and you did get that in your thing.
Yeah.
How that's gonna work is any Granite County resident that receives their vaccine during, mostly now the month of August. It started on, I believe it was the 26th. But anyone can get that chance to enter into that drawing. And with the way it's going right now, I don't know of anyone who's received a vaccine since the 26th.
Really?
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Already happened.
Chances are pretty good then.
Chances are very good, so please, I
Yeah.
encourage everyone who hasn't vaccinated, this is the time to reconsider. With the case counts going up, they do say that about 83.2% of the cases are the Delta variant. That seems to be what they're finding nationwide. So it's transmitting quickly in the population, and that's because the viral load is higher. So there's more virus in your airway, so therefore more able to transmit. So anyone you know who's not vaccinated,
If you made an appointment today, you could get in tomorrow.
yes,
If you made if you made an appointment the day before, you could get in the next day, do you think?
you know, I mean, we
Yeah.
were very stringent before, trying to make sure
Yeah.
we had 10 people lined up so
Mhm.
that we didn't waste a single dose. And now the focus has shifted that we want to,
Get as
we're
many,
willing to
yeah.
waste a couple
Yeah.
doses
Yeah.
trying to get people
Yeah.
vaccinated.
So what's the best one?
They say they're all very comparable. Johnson & Johnson has the benefit of being a one and done. We do have 40 doses of that remaining. We otherwise only carry Moderna, but Public Health carries Pfizer. Because of the storage requirements, we don't have the ultra cold storage. And the pharmacy, I think, has both Johnson & Johnson and Moderna as well. Okay, so I'll go into the general COVID update. This is now dated information because it was as of July 22nd when I put this together for the board meeting. The case counts are rising quickly throughout 90% of the country. These trends are worrisome because of the rapid spread of the Delta variant. And like I said, it's 83.2% of cases right now. It is beginning to put strain on healthcare resources. My conversations with St. Pat's yesterday is that they go in and out of being at capacity, and their ICU has been full on different days. So they're really seeing an uptick in cases. Like I said, we have 13 cases as of this moment. The active cases in Montana have more than doubled since last month, and active hospitalizations have more than doubled since last month. We did administer 2,164 doses of vaccine, but that is, according to the state calculation, only 34% of our eligible population. So our county's not doing very well in terms of overall vaccination. I believe we did a really, really good job in the 65 and over, but under that age, the response was not as good. But I find it somewhat optimistic, because I'm always looking for the optimistic spot, is that we got our most vulnerable vaccinated. So 48% of Montanans were fully vaccinated as of the end of July, and over 441,000 total Montanans were not fully vaccinated. Activities department, I know everyone always likes to hear about them, and they have been really busy. They did a lot of field trips last month. They went to Lost Creek. The gate was open this time. They were able to go out and have a picnic, and they really enjoyed that. They drove out to Moose Lake, drove up to Garnet on Highway 200. The kitchen always packs them a really nice lunch, so they picnic when they stop. They drove through Helmville, and everyone really just loves to get out. But as the smoke increased, they wound up staying inside more often and doing things like ice cream socials, lemonade parties. They hung out outside as much as they could under the gazebo, but the smoke has gotten, when they get a good day, then they definitely go outside. Business department revenue cycle. The hospital did rent a 3-bedroom house here in town in order to house our travel staff. we were trying to get replacement travel staff and they kept having to cancel on us because they couldn't find housing. At the peak of summer here, there's not even a hotel bed they can stay in. So we did finally bite the bullet and we rented a house. But our rental cost will be completely covered because it's a 3-bedroom. If we rent each bedroom out for $650, that covers the rent and the expenses. We did close our fiscal year on June 30th, so I've got some information on that in the more specific financial part of the report. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, that was the one that was signed into law by President Biden on March 15th. And that appropriated an additional $8.5 billion in relief funding for eligible rural healthcare providers. So that's our bucket essentially. That's going to be made up of a HRSA rural health clinic testing and mitigation program. And each of our rural health clinics has received $100,000 in June, and that's only for the use of testing and mitigation efforts. And then they're also going to be sending out the HRSA Small Rural Hospital Improvement Program. They also call it SHIP. We applied for that one and the hospital could receive up to $230,000. That's yet to be distributed, so we don't know the exact number that they'll determine is appropriate. And the last way they're going to distribute those funds is the Rural Health Clinic Vaccine Confidence Program. That was a grant that we applied for. We were approved for $99,000, and that's to fund county-wide projects aimed at increasing vaccine confidence, but also address things like equity gaps, bolstering patient literacy on the benefits of broad vaccination for all infectious diseases. So it'll cover all vaccines, and it's going to be county-wide, and the project kind of outlines how we do outreach and how we can try to increase vaccination rates in the county. And we do still have several openings in terms of staff, 2 night nurses and 5 CNAs. Our hospital is not unlike all the others in trying to find staffing. A lot of people left the workforce with COVID and they didn't come back. We did the re-credential and credential several teleradiologists that do our radiology and CT readings, and they're through Medical Imaging Associates of Idaho Falls. So they've joined essentially our medical staff, even though we never meet them and they're never on site, but they're there. And the board did decide to split my role as CEO and Director of Nursing. They thought that it would be much more effective if we split the roles so that I could concentrate on more strategic planning and more of our larger projects to keep us sustainable. So that posting has gone out. People will see that. They've already started asking questions thinking I was leaving, but no, we're just splitting the role. Physical therapy has been really busy. And although our long-term care patient census is down right now at 15, we are taking admissions. And the CT department has been extremely busy. We were really excited. They had 24 CAT scans done in June. That's an absolute record. It really shows the need for it. So that's really, really exciting. Our benchmark is 10. If we do 10, that's our break even, and to do 24, and we did 11 in 1 week. So that's really exciting because it shows the identified need. But also in your packet, you have the very detailed specific financials for the end of year. So if you look, I think it's on page 4 of your documents. It shows the utilization compared to prior year. The Drummond Clinic, even through COVID, they were up an average of 5 visits a month. So that was really nice to see. Now with Ashley leaving, we're hoping that we can get a provider that's going to be a great fit for Drummond and that the community will embrace and continue that really positive trend. Hospital billable days were up by 7, swing bed billable days were up by 5. and ER visits averaged being up by 9 a month. So even lab was up. I mean, that's probably more because of COVID for the year overall, but all of our key areas did really, really well, you know, through the pandemic. So I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And if you look at the revenue analysis, year-to-date revenue was just over 5 million. And that's 5.7% above target for the year. So we made it through the pandemic and we flourished. And really what it looks like is it was the start of initiating CAT scan services. So by being able to offer that service, the ER was able to make their diagnosis and either continue care for the patient, whether it was for observation care or maybe they need to be admitted to the hospital. We didn't lose that patient to another community. So it has a downstream effect. You know, it's wonderful that the community doesn't have to leave town to get their CT scan, but the downstream revenue that it creates, it was just remarkable. So that really started in October, you know, when the pandemic started to slow down. And then it really held strong through the rest of that fiscal year. So if you look at the balance sheet, June, they did release 276,000 into restricted or from the restricted funds. And the majority of that was for the CT machine and renovation of that room. Progress has been pretty darn slow on finishing that room for the new X-ray machine because of, you know, a supply chain, materials, their workforce. So that still isn't completed. We're hopeful that it will be nearly done by the end of this month.
Is it a new ambulance working out for you or?
So far, so good. They've been very, very responsive. You know, that's a real plus. Because when we interview providers, they ask us, you know, in looking for Ashley's replacement, they ask, how's your ambulance service? Can you get a patient transferred to a higher level of care? Can you get a good response on your 911 calls? And being able to tell them that, yes, it's now managed by a private service. They're responsive. They're professional and competent. It really, it's a good thing. So thank you.
We lucked out on
for your
that.
efforts. In just a recap of our provider relief funds that we received last year for all the COVID relief, we did receive approximately $2.6 million overall in COVID relief funds, strictly for COVID expenses and COVID related things. And we have spent almost all of it. At this point right now, there's 364,000 that's still hanging there, but we haven't found out how the cost report is affected by this or what we may be able to claim in lost revenue. If they count your revenue based on your overall end number, like so with our CT revenue, the CT revenue is above and beyond what we anticipated budgetary wise. So if they count that, it'll look like we didn't lose any revenue. It looks like we gained. But if you take that out of the mix, then there is lost revenue. So it depends on how the calculation is made. So we have that in there as a buffer and hopefully it'll all come out to zero at the end. And if we have to send a small portion back, then we have to do better than to not anticipate and have to, you know, So any questions for me? No?
Any public questions? Don't see any. That was good, thanks.
Please encourage everyone who hasn't vaccinated to get a vaccine. Yeah. The more we can get vaccinated, the healthier our community will be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
thanks.
wonderful day.
You too.
Okay, I don't see any
Oh,
public.
wait, now we have a comment.
Elena?
I'm sorry, thanks, Maria. Are you back for an answer? I've got a question. I raised the wrong, whatever you want to call it. The numbers that you quoted, I'm looking at the Montana response COVID-19 page. It says for Granite County, active cases 7. And I renewed it. You know, it goes, they do the information between 10 and 11:30. So I refreshed it and it still says 7. Is there another source that you get your information from?
I get mine directly from the Public Health Department, from Debbie Robinson and the team over there in Anaconda. The map, although it's wonderful and really does give a good reflection, it's not always up to the minute, because they receive their information a little bit later. They're not as timely as our Public Health Department, because I know it says they've updated it, but they may be operating off of information from just a few days ago because they don't have all the new information.
Okay, so then on the website for the county, I guess the information would be at the Public Health Board, or?
It
I
should be
don't
on the
know.
Public Health Board. And
Okay,
I can check with Debbie and see if they're updating it. I know I get the Deer Lodge counties. Is it on there?
No, ours comes from, ours updates through, it's some like, hold on, let me tell you. I think ours goes to the hospital. The latest COVID information. Oh wait, now it doesn't, it goes to. We need to update it, because we have to get it updated for all the House Bill 702 stuff.
yeah, because also, I'm sorry, because also on the website for the latest COVID-19 information, there's nothing on there.
Yeah, because we have to get it updated with the House Bill 702 legislation.
Yeah, I know that that's an area where we can probably definitely do better in communicating to the community how quickly our community spread is advancing. And I know that with it being a little bit fragmented with Anaconda covering our public health, I know that they post on Facebook their county's numbers, but I don't know that they post ours. And I can talk with them and ask them if they would please post ours when they post Deer Lodge counties, because then it'll just pop up on their Facebook. Do you do Facebook, or is it easier to do the website?
Well, I do Facebook. Not a lot of people around here even do the computer, you know that. But yeah, I do Facebook, but they're working on the internet, the web page for the county. And, you know, as far as the COVID-19, there's not really good information. And if there's 7 or 11 cases, then are they being quarantined? Do they contact these people still to find out who they had contact with?
Oh,
Are they still doing that?
Absolutely. Yeah, public health does that. They do their out. If ever when we get positive tests, you know, we call the public health department immediately and notify the state. So public health starts their contact tracing and notification and education. They do all that outreach.
Then I think it'll be a good idea, you know, to have the connection with Deer Lodge, with the public health, whatever we're connected to, so that they can update the information on the website, I think.
In
My
more
opinion.
real time. Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Oh, absolutely. I'll send her an email when I get back to the office.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, thanks, everybody. And I see on the agenda, there's no public comment. So if there's any public comment. And then correspondence, we did that. Board minutes. There was one thing on the road, it just one little thing.
Yeah, no, Tommy, I had
Mhm.
a crazy week last week.
I think it said fill in dirt patches or
dirt patch.
I think it said dirt, I think it's, maybe should have been pavement, or maybe I don't know.
Let's see. It's the one up that I sent you yesterday that Blaine. went through. Pull that. Okay, I have up road and bridge. Let's see. I have a spot where it says they will begin chip sealing on the 9th of August and that the road department will start dirt patching. Is that what it's sealing?
Yeah, I think it's pavement.
What is it called? Start paving?
uh, Patching the holes in the pavement.
What does dirt patching mean?
I don't know.
I think I think it's just patching the holes in the pavement
Okay, so just start.
prior
patching.
to chip seal,
So what is it called? Just patching?
patching,
Just patching.
it's pavement.
Okay.
That was just a minor.
So when you patch pavement, but when you, for holes, potholes with dirt potholes, you just blade, right?
Oh. See what Okay. It's fixed.
Then I'll move to accept the minutes as,
I'll second it.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And if there's no other public comments, we will adjourn. Goodbye.
Right.